Welcome to the Hawks Nest live stream show, and a happy Memorial Day out there to you and yours. A big shout out to all of our vets, those who've served, including my brother who pulled in 3 tours as a Marine infantryman in Iraq, which was not an easy pull on his part. But thank you guys, everyone out there, for all of your service. And today we are going to continue on through kind of putting a bit of a button up on this draft class. And draft classes are comprised of 2 things, especially in the John Schneider era. The first thing is going to be, of course, the draft itself, those picks that you made. But then John Schneider has been as active and as smart about the process of adding undrafted rookie free agents as probably just about any general manager over the last at least, 10 years or his time here. He has not just made an extra sort of part to sort of round out camp fodder for training camp so you can get through reps and plays and whatnot. He's actually looked out there to go find guys that can actually bring some measurable impact, who have some potential to them, and that a lot of times he'll even angle his draft to keep an opening for a positional group so that he can go and entice one of those somewhat prime undrafted rookie free agent types that he wants to then go after there. So he goes, look, we didn't draft a guy, so you got the opening here to make the roster, and he's able to bring them in that way. Of course, Doug Baldwin is maybe our most famous examples of John Schneider. That's an undrafted rookie free agent who's one of your all-time leaders in receptions and whatnot. So that part was really cool. With him, you've got Poona Ford, who just signed a pretty big contract there with the Rams. You also got him as an undrafted rookie free agent, and he's going to play 10 years in this league and have one hell of a career at that. Jermaine Kearse, the names go on, but there's a part of this that I wanted to pay attention to in this show because of this reason, because it's just one that these aren't just going to be extra guys. There's a good chance you might find a guy with a little bit of impact, something that he can add to play. And what I've tried to do today is narrow it down to really the 3 best guys that I think have that possibility of making that impact. There are other guys that they brought in here. I've tried to look through most of the film of the guys that I have that I can look for, when it's a guy from southern Mississippi or Florida, Atlantic or central Florida. I just don't have any real game footage of those guys to really tear through and do much scouting on that. So I really kind of gravitated to the guys that I could look at the tape and get, excited about what you're seeing and think, hey, there's maybe something this guy's got to offer that he brings to the table. And I've narrowed it down to 3 guys on this one that we're going to look at today. The first is going to be Jared Ivey, the guy that I'm most excited about of this undrafted rookie free agent class. I'm kind of surprised he didn't get taken. Then we're going to look at Zy Alexander and finish it up with J.R. Singleton, the Iowa State 1 Tech, and kind of take a look at these guys. So it was a pretty good undrafted rookie free agent class as far as being, I think, a little, especially top heavy. We'll see if some of these smaller school guys have something to offer. But these 3 guys in particular are the ones that get me most excited. And the first guy who gets me most excited above all else is going to be, like as aforementioned, Jared Ivey. Ivey is a kid on that Ole Miss defense, which produced a couple of different pros in this last draft. Princely Umanmielen. Then you've got, of course, Walter Nolan on the inside. They had the inside linebacker, was drafted by the Rams. And Ivey was a guy that went undrafted. I think you can kind of see with his raw relative athletic score as to why, because of the fact that he just did not test particularly well at all. This is a former 4-star recruit, so he's got a bit of a pedigree to him on that side. It's also a guy that when he went to the Senior Bowl, didn't give you very much at the Senior Bowl. Dan Viens was talking about how when he watched him, he was pretty uninspiring, didn't jump out to him at all. You didn't hear a lot about him in the one-on-one work. And so you do have a guy here who is... this is why he went undrafted specifically. It's not productivity. It comes down to how he tests, and then they weren't as well-suited to like what he did at the Senior Bowl. Also, you could probably say that there's a little bit of a tweener status to him here, where it's sort of caught a little bit between being an outside-inside guy. He's been living mainly outside, but he's got a little bit of almost kind of closer to at times 3-tech size, and there's times Ole Miss used him as a 3-tech out there. So these are the reasons he kind of went undrafted, I would think. I mean, maybe there's a little bit of a question with him on that fire desire kind of thing at times. I will say I really felt like that Ole Miss defense probably should have been even more dominant than it was, considering how many different pros it was able to produce here in this last year. When you look at Jared Ivey's rank, this is where it starts to get kind of interesting for me a little bit. I mean, not just the tape as well when we get into that. That's really fun. But you can see that this is the edge group and how they're stacked up as far as their grades last year by PFF. A lot of notable names on here that got drafted this last draft. Mike Green, of course, taken the second round, would have gone first round if not for the character concerns. Abdul Carter, number 4 there, was second, third overall pick there. Josiah Stewart coming in at 5 was taken, of course. I mentioned Princely Umamilian out of Ole Miss. There's another guy there at number 6. So a lot of these guys all got drafted here at the top of this PFF board. Take it for what you will on that. But then you do see there at number 11th, Jared Ivey there as with a 90.6 grade. So this wasn't a guy that is just a big-bodied guy that hasn't really produced, and you got nothing to really go on with that. No, he played really well last year. He's played pretty well throughout his time there in college. He's played 38 games, 30 starts, 125 total tackles, 16 sacks, 26 and a half tackles for a loss, 5 fumbles recovered. Kind of odd. He just has a nose for finding the ball in that way. And as I said, former 4-star recruit. So he does have a little bit of a background as far as being a good, there's some good parameters here with this guy. It's not just a guy that just sort of like made himself at the Ole Miss, but a guy that's, got some legit talent, legit ability, and has had a productive college career there. Basically almost a 4-year starter there at Ole Miss. I mentioned some of the stats that you get there with him, mainly used as an edge guy. But as you look over on the far right-hand column there, as far as AGP would be nose tackle snaps, he only got 1 of those this year. But at times used inside as a 3-tech, also used outside. So he provides you some true inside-outside versatility when he brings to the table on that. But a well-traveled guy with a good background as far as his talent goes, who has produced. And he's going to come here and give you a lot of, if this guy makes the roster, it's going to be because he's kind of refined his game down quite a bit to get it to this stage of things and having this, because he really uses his hands well. He understands leverage. He's got a great timing of when he gets to the edge of the, he gets off that edge right there to meet the guy at the arc, that he's able to just kind of bounce off the block somehow or another. Sometimes it's the double hand swipe. Sometimes he's just a quick little dip, but he'll find a way to get that edge just kind of through just being smart about it a little bit. He's not just kind of a hammer where everything's a nail. He's definitely going to try some different things to get home. But let's look at some of his tape here. We got a couple guys to get through today, so I'm going to move somewhat quick through these a little bit because we have so much, and not sure how much of a turnout we're going to get today, being it is a Memorial Day. But let's look at a couple of his highlights here, which we're really going to mainly feature him as a pass rusher here initially. I wanted to show you. And when you look at him, you're going to find him on the edge. He's going to be a bigger edge. Here you get him with his hand in the dirt here on the right side. Oh, wow. That's not the way I want that to be. Hold on here. There we go. That's right. That looks a little better, doesn't it? All right. So you got him right there at the one. Here he's just left unblocked. Do so at your own peril. And just lights up the quarterback here. Yeah, I'm still not getting... Oh, sorry, guys. Let's... Here it is. All right, 1 second. Everything was working on this, and then it didn't. All right, we'll do this for now. It's being weird. This is being a little weird. All right, so you got him here, just blast off the edge. Wham, takes his guy out. Nicely done. I don't like how this thing looks. We'll just have to deal with it a little stretchy. Not doing any moves there. He just left unblocked. I just want to show that play a little bit. All right. So here we get a little bit of inside. Showed the outside a second ago there. This is inside here, and this is, you're actually going to get him against Tate Ratledge on the inside as a 3-tech. So he's got some true ability to bounce inside from time to time, and at 275, 280 pounds, I think he can do this occasionally. He does really then provide some issues there for a guy that's a right guard, not used to the guys with this kind of foot speed to do this. And you can see he just quickly swims over the top of Tate Ratledge on this play. Keeping in mind when you watch his hand usage too as well, watch how he's able to he's got a variety of different moves in his bag. Euro step, hand swipe, swim move, and he knows kind of which one to call upon at the right time. But true inside-outside versatility, very slippery off of blocks, which you're going to see here, bottom of your screen. Just a very innate ability to be able to get off the block, find a way to do it. Almost just didn't even get touched here. Got the swim move there to the other side. So he can do swim move to the right arm. He can do swim move to the left arm. And he's got a little bit of bounce. This is a former basketball player background here. So this is a guy that has a little bit of that side-to-side lateral bounce to him that helps him get off blocks. You just saw that with Tate Ratledge a little bit. You see that on this play as well. All right. So I just like this angle. I wanted to show this shot because I like the angle on this one. So he's over on the right-hand side of the screen to the top side of your screen here. And again, just bouncing off the block. See how he just kind of loses the block here? You almost sometimes can't see how he does it because his hands will disappear inside. I mean, this is a swipe move that gets him clear, but it's so violent. It knocks the guy off his feet, and then he's there to make the sack. But he just is always so slippery off blocks. You see his hands go in there, and he's sort of mixing it up a little bit later like he's dirty boxing, and then he just comes off free of the block, and he's found a way to slide through. It stands out so much on his tape. We got Lenoris Sellers. This is going to be one of the more elusive quarterbacks going into college football next year. Top of the formation here is Jared Ivey on this play. And again, it shows, I hope this can kind of show you guys this a little bit, like what is he doing exactly to kind of get off, right? He just kind of gets his hands on the guy and you go, what is he? He's not really swiping him. He just finds a way to just kind of off the contact work to disengage. He's definitely using his hands. Hands are a big part of what he's making, but there's not a pure move he's doing. It's not a pure hand swipe here. He's just able to, off that contact, find a way to just get slippery, bounce off, go lateral, flattens the route to the quarterback, makes the sack. Same game, come back to Lenoris here again. So he's going to be to the top, again, to the high side of your screen here. Right there. Keeping an eye on the quarterback here. Good job by the tackle, actually, to catch the hands. Takes away the outside, but he's watching Sellers the whole way. He knows he's got a mobile quarterback who might want to leave the pocket. Good hustle in this guy and good awareness. Good awareness in space as to what's going on around him. Doesn't get lost. A couple more pass rush moves. Let's get in some of the 22 tape here so I can show you a little bit of this. So here we've got him over on the left-hand side. Watch the violence of the hands. Watch how committed he is to it. What a nice little move. You start inside. Look at that little, watch the inside right foot. Inside with the right foot, come back to the outside with the hands in clear. Look how much he gets him off. Look at that. That's great. Basically a swim move where he just doesn't bring his hand over. He just twists his body sideways and doesn't bring it down. But it's that step. I'm showing this kind of slow because I want to show first here. The step there to set the move up. So sets the move up, gets the feet. Look at the offensive tackle's foot there. Goes to right. He's got him right there. That left foot goes back like there. He's got him. You're off balance. You're done. Play at regular speed again. And why does he do that? Because look at how fast the kick step is going of the right tackle. Look at how many he's 3 shuffles into this, trying to get to the outside to meet Ivey because he's worried about his outside shoulder. So when Ivey gives that one step inside, he knows he's got him baited up there. So he brings a little bit more to the pass rush than just a move that he gets by you with. He can set you up. He has a feel for what you're trying to do as an offensive lineman across from him. Here he's going up against Emory Jones here, right tackle for the LSU Tigers. I believe he did get drafted in like 4th, 5th round, I want to say. Just a little bit of a power rep here. He's got some bull rush, long arms him, and then clears him. And what stands out is you see him sometimes doing 2-3 things in one. So first comes off bull rush to the long arm, to the push-pull move, and swim. So there's 4 things going on there. Let's walk through it here. Bull rush to the long arm, right? 2-handed bull rush to the long arm to pull you down. So he's pulling him down. See how I'm pull him down to the swim move to clear. So 3 things being done at once. Bull, long arm, swim to clear. Pull, arm, swim to clear. It's it may seem like a little thing, but most pass rushers can't even do one thing, much less chain together 3 different separate sort of moves in one play. This is a guy that's started for 4 years, right? This is a guy that's done this for a good amount of time. Here we got a little bit of a stunt loop thing. He's working off Nolan here to his right. So he's going to be on the right side of this formation here, lined up there, hand in the ground. And him and Nolan are going to try to run a little bit of a, I don't know what they're doing on this one. I think it just got messed up. He still creates pressure, though. They end up back-to-back on this play. I'm not a fan of Walter Nolan. I really am not. I do not like the tape at all on that guy. Here he attacks the hands. Again with Emory Jones on the right side. Got him right there. He's going to get on in and get right into those hands. Attack. Boom. Good job by Emory Jones kind of recovering a little bit, getting down. But you can see Emory Jones only wins this rep by throating him up there. So see Emory's hands? It's up. That's actually a hold. That's why this is a good rep for him. He causes the hold. Tries to control the hands. Emory Jones freaks out and grabs him around his head. Don't think it was called, but not his fault there. Let's go with let's take a look at a little bit of the run defense here with him. What he brings to the table on that, because he is a complete defender. That's how you get a 90 grade like that. It's not just being a one note in what you bring. He's over here strong side, so this would be a power side edge here. He'd be your strong side edge. You got that extra blockers over there, 2 tight ends set up right there. Can you root down in space? Takes on the double teams, clears off, goes in and makes the tackle. They get a little bit of push, but he's dealing with the double team initially. He clears off both, finds the play for a short gain. The other defender really makes this play, but he's there to help clean it up with effort. He definitely will give you what you need there in the run game, especially as he's a bigger edge. So tackles aren't going to be able to really control him in that way. Different shot here. So you're going to go and see him over on the left-hand side of the screen there. Where is he lined up? Again, power side edge. Controls the tight end. Makes the tackle. This is what you want. You want your power side edge, your strong side edge to control. If he's going to get a tight end, they're going to dare to try to test him with that. There's no tight end that's going to be able to block this guy. So first you got to set your edge, control your edge. He does so. See what he's doing there? I'm always getting outside my outside shoulder. If the quarterback keeps it, I've got to be the force defender there. Realizes the quarterback's not keeping it, doesn't have to worry about his outside shoulder responsibilities, gets back down and goes and makes the tackle. Smart player, complete player in a lot of ways. Here again, just finding the play. Gets initially blocked over on the right-hand side of your screen, but gets back into the play and makes it. Strong side again, so power side edge guy. Tight end can't control that block. Tight end does a decent job off him initially here, but he gets back in the play, makes the tackle. Really good hustle in addition to a lot of things. I don't know if I go on full on call him like a high motor guy, but he is a guy that does hustle the ball quite regularly. Here again, you're going to try him with the tight end. It's just not going to work. I mean, tight end doesn't even get halfway close to a block on him. This whole play goes to hell for the Florida Gators, but this is effortless just getting off this tight end's block. I mean, that's not even, it's like a child blocking him. Look at that, just right off. His ability to get that basketball background, get lateral, and then engage the swim move. A lot of guys will engage the swim move, but then they don't move their feet with it. Okay, so here you can feel, I think, a little bit with him on how he's not necessarily a real sudden guy, but he does get to the spot. There's maybe a little bit of a feel of sluggishness to it, but he still gets the job done here. So he's got to set the edge. That's his first responsibility. That's why he's not crashing down there. He loses the guy to his outside shoulder, but then recovers and gets back in to help make the tackle here. Good job there. But feel the feed here, just a little bit of the dun 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 dun. Just kind of, he's not gonna be quick and sudden with it. It's a tiny bit plodding, just a little bit. Here against Georgia again. First, he's on the right hand side. First has to set the edge, make sure the edge is clear, then collapse down inside and go find the ball carrier. Got to do one thing first, and then you can do the second thing. And that's just what he does there. He gets down and makes the tackle. Tight end, nope, that's not going to work. We've already seen that. He'll take care of that. All right, back again. Power side edge. Here we go. Actually, they got him on the weak side of the formation here this time. Quasi double team. Throws his man down. Doesn't give up any space. Doesn't make the tackle, but he messes this whole play up. He prevents the double teamer from getting to the spot. Absolutely controls the tackle and then dumps him on his ass. Pass rushing moves, and he's got power. Two things at the forefront of his game. Nice tackle there by Chris Paul coming in. But just dumps that guy. The second, the double teamer can't even get to it. Look, the double teamer gets stuck right in here, hugging his guy on the back of his back. Controls that. Then look, I see how he kind of isolates 73 from getting to Paul. Paul does a nice job of using his man. Cool little rep there, though. How about a little bit of a... Well, let's go a couple more of these run defense, because run defense is a part of what he does, and if he's going to make this team and I think bring an impact to be partially what he does as a run defender, excuse me. Okay, so we got him over here, right side of the screen, hand in his dirt. Can't really see him here because of the angle of the shot, but trust me, he's there. Handles the double team, okay. Maintains his ground okay. You're not going to ask him to be dealing with double teams like this very often. You're hoping other people are making the play if it does happen. A couple of these are just none. I'm going to try to show where he's set the edge. All right. Got a little bit of hustle here, and then we'll get to a couple of other ones. Got him here on the right-hand side. Power formation again, power side, strong side. Goes and finds the ball carrier. Just gets right off the tight end's block. You can see tight ends aren't going to do much against him. He's going to dominate those matchups. Wasn't able to find a lot in that game with LSU with him and Will Campbell. It's about the only rep I could really locate. But here's him going, of course, against the top 5 guy here. Campbell controls him pretty well. Campbell does a good job on this rep. Gets his hands locked in, tries to counter around with a spin move, and it doesn't happen there. Good job by Campbell there. I did mention that he can rock some 3-tech, so he does provide some positional value in that way, extra positional value. You're going to see him operating from the inside here in a couple of these reps. And what you'll notice on this rep, like I showed you earlier, is that it seems like when linemen lose him, and when that does occur, there is a weird, odd tendency at times with the lineman when this occurs with him, because he's not a short guy. The hands get up around the head. So Fairchild here, just want to take note of, like I showed on that other rep, how the hands end up around the neck. And that's gonna have a lot of tendency to be called in the NFL if your hands are going to go up there from a lineman's perspective. I don't know if he can draw this kind of stuff at the next level, but if he can, that's just one more addition to his bag a bit. So a little bit of that going on at times with him when they lose the block. Hands will slide high. Here again, kicked inside. Just a beautiful little, almost like a Euro step move here, right? So he's Euros. They sort of flip the formation prior to the snap, goes into 3-tech, but then watch he sort of steps him, that left foot steps out there, and that's what that left foot buys the tackle to go that way. Left foot, boom, he gets the tackle leaning, then that bounce with that swim move we've seen, and he gets right through. So he may not have straight line explosiveness, but he does have explosiveness laterally, which really can help a pass rusher, especially a guy at 275. All right, so again, you're going to have him inside here, just a line right from the rip. 3 tech, ready to roll. Ready to roll again here. Caught up in. Kind of gets double teamed there. So where you go, okay, somebody else get the job. They only end up sending they send 4 guys. Look at the Georgia's, I think, expecting a blitz or something. You've already seen a couple of these. I'm not going to belabor the point, but just instantaneous disengagement here. Right off. On contact, he just slides off the offensive lineman. It's kind of an innate skill he's got, just able to do it. Good feel for it. You guys get the gist of it there with it. Good hustle guy too. Don't know if I go full high motor, but this guy does keep going throughout the course of the play. He stays on it. Here you got him on the left-hand side of the screen right here, and he's just going to stay with this play, stay with the quarterback. He keeps his eyes up. He's a very heady player, very smart about, keeping an eye on where the ball carrier's at and stay with it, go find it. He's not going to get caught up on his block and just lost on that. He's always got kind of an eye of what's going on in the peripheral. This is why he's tipped and knocked down a lot of passes too in his career. It's another one of his little underrated skills that he's got, and just an ability to just do that as well. I'll show you one of the deals with him. Here, takes out 2 blockers and 1. Just kind of, to me, I just love how he just submarines himself in here just to kind of muck this play up. By any means necessary, man. Sometimes you just got to do it by any means necessary, but takes up the 2 blockers. Look here, slow-mo it. You got the 2 blockers now on him. He just collapses them both, basically. They trip. Running back doesn't know where to go. He gets caught. So it's unorthodox, this play. I don't know if that's how you coach it up for him. But he'll give you what he's got on plays. You know what I mean? He'll sell himself out a little bit to try to make it happen. It's not a hot fire of a motor, but and I mentioned the tip passes. Here you get a tip pass. Very smart and active with his hands. So he's going to be on the left-hand side running kind of a stunt loop thing here. And then watch, he tips the ball and causes the interception. Hand goes up, active hands there. Boom, get the pick. Slightly tipped. Good job. One more here just to show you this. It is part of what he does here, just what he can do. You got him off the bottom left side or the bottom of the formation side there, defensively, hand in the dirt. Recognize that this is going to be a bubble screen. Gets himself in the passing lane, knocks the ball down. So he's also got this too. A lot of things he brings to the game. Power side edge. He can be a factor in the run game, be a factor against the pass. He's got a variety of different pass rush moves. He understands how to get skinny through the pass rush lane, how to attack half a man. He's not necessarily a first step explosion guy or a dip or a bender purely, but because of how well he uses his hands and works off leverage and works off contact, he's a different type of pass rusher. And not every rusher has to be a first step explosive quickness guy. Sometimes if you're a bigger guy like this, you can lean on these other modalities as a way to go out there and find success. But they're getting a complete player here. And let's also remember that right now, the power edge role is one that needs to be fulfilled on this team. You look at a lot of the other UDFAs that they brought in here, and there's a couple of other guys that got off the edge that are bigger, burlier edges, that they're looking to have that impact brought to Mike McDonald's defense. I know that he wants that. And so this is where this guy's got an opportunity, a glowing opportunity, because he's going to weigh more than a Mafe. He's going to weigh more than a Derek Hall. He's going to be a bigger guy than a Uchenna Nwosu. So he has an opportunity to not only make this team, but potentially, at least early on, provide some measurable impact as that early down power edge. And I like the fact that he gives you a full skill set beyond that, where there's actually some upside there as a pass rusher beyond just being a run defender on the edge on early downs. But a guy that I think is going to be in the mix here in Seattle this upcoming season, and a guy of real good potential of making this roster, even though you've got four edges as it stands, just because I think this guy should have been taken. I think this is one of those guys that you get to the Senior Bowl. I understand the Senior Bowl needs to be heavily weighted, and you need to be paying attention to that. You are at the combine or at the pro days. You want to see the good testing scores. That stuff is something to lean on. A guy has a raw score like he had that was so low, and that's going to make you a little bit hesitant. It's going to get you in a little bit of that spot, but the productivity is so good. And he's not just done it as a one-year wonder, but over multiple years there in the SEC at Ole Miss, in the toughest conference in all of football. So I'm really hyped up by this guy. Hopefully that comes across. He's got as good a chance, I think, as any UDFA in this class here to make this squad because of how good he is. Not even just as much of we've got a hole in the team. We don't really have a hole in the roster for that edge outside of that power edge role we need fulfilled. But you've got the 4 edges. That tends to be what you roll through anyway normally. But he just might be so good they just can't deny him. Next guy we're going to move on to here is going to be a cornerback. And this guy is going to be Zaire Alexander. This is a former 3-star recruit out there in LSU for them. He's played 32 games, 97 tackles, 12 pass breakups, 9 interceptions over that time. He was with Southern Louisiana for 2020 to 2022. Then NIL program goes out there and heads to LSU. And he's been pretty good with that. He did have a season-ending ACL injury in 2023. And so you do wonder if maybe a little bit of that was still coming back this past year. As far as his raw score goes, much like we saw with Ivy, not a guy with a tremendous raw score there, 4.5, 40. He did a 1.6 10-yard split there on his raw. So, not particularly quick, decent size, 6'2", 31 3/8-inch arms, a little bit shorter arms. You can see the vertical, the broad jump weren't particularly good. So as an athlete, didn't test particularly well. I will say that when I watch him on tape, that I feel like he's a little bit better than that on tape than what you see from him, that he doesn't run like a 4.55 guy. That, he does. I wouldn't say he's a 4.4 guy, but he seems like somewhere maybe between the middle on that with how he plays on the field. But this is a little bit of why he wasn't taken in this current draft, even with playing out at LSU against really prime competition. He is a zone-based corner. Here's his PFF rank here on this one. And if you want to look, he's right dead center there, just below Eric Rogers and Jordan Clark. You'll find Zai at 48 is where he was rated last year as far as PFF. So fairly well graded. He didn't light the world on fire, but he was solid. He was solid. There's like 800 cornerbacks that are graded there by PFF. So getting up on that is actually pretty legitimate. As I said, he's had a lot of games started. This is a little bit the same thing of like Ivy, where 4 years of starting experience. He's been pretty solid throughout that time period and how he's played. Had a pretty good year last year as well. He is an outside corner purely, I would say, on that side of it. You can see that he went from 445 yards given up in coverage down to only 200 yards given up in coverage this year, and that's with a 63 long. So not a lot he allowed this season in coverage. Pretty good in that way. Played a lot of zones, so a lot of it's just taking away the quarterback's natural look to one spot, not you as much playing sticky into coverage. I think this is probably why he went undrafted as well, just not doing as much of that where there's a lot of cover 3 drops to depth, that type of thing. Pretty solid tackler. You can see brought down, not only did he improve the yards allowed in coverage this year, but then also brought his missed tackle rate down to 3.2%, which is really good for that corner position. I see a lot of corners that'll be up there flirting with 20% missed tackle rate. The fact that he's able to stay there and stay pretty consistent throughout his college time period as a tackler does match to what you see from him on the tape. In addition to that, you see from his grading standpoint too, that as a tackler graded well, as a run defender graded well. So a solid player all the way down the line with it. There are some times in coverage that you can get to him a little bit. He's got a little bit of that like Woolen thing last year where there'll be some moments where just he's not always engaged every play like you'd like to see him, but a good player. And let's take a look at some of the tape that he brings to the play here. Not that guy. Not that one. Okay. So first off with the interceptions, I would say that you would look at the interceptions initially and you would think that would indicate to you that he is maybe somewhat of a ball hawk. Couple of the interceptions came out here at Southern Miss. The first stop he had a college program. This one is legit. He's jumping it. The level of competition was not great out there that he was playing against, though. So it's a good play, but also You weren't going against the best as far as that goes. A couple of the other interceptions would be Hail Marys. So he's got a few of his interceptions like this one where he comes away with it, but the quarterback's just throwing it up for grabs. It's not really him then jumping the route. Like, he's not even looking back at the ball here. As you can see, the ball's in the air. 24 is not even looking back. And he just kind of turns around and goes, oh, there's a ball there. I guess I'll catch that. Another one here, Hail Mary, just throwing it up, hoping somebody gets it. He comes in and makes the interception. So I would not say that ball skills are really as much his thing. There's a couple of them on here where, he does a little bit of stuff, but most of this is with him with the first stop there that he's getting those picks. It's kind of like he's just going to kind of stumble his way into interceptions when he does have the opportunity to get them. To kind of show this a little bit clearer, show you guys some of the ball skills here. Jackson Dart lets it go. Knocks it away from Trey Harris, guy that was drafted in this last draft, of course. But take note of the fact that the head's not turning around. He's just going to be what I like to call a moment of truth mangler. That's what I like to call these kind of cornerbacks. And that are cornerbacks that were never born with any God-given real skill to turn around and look and find the ball. But they're very good at the second that ball hits the receiver's hands, they're going to rip it out, tear it out. They're just very, very smart at doing that. Bird outside losing his mind. Hold on one second here. Bird outside freaking started losing his mind for some reason here. A couple of the other shots I want to show you on this real quick. Just you get the idea with him on the ball skill wise. It ain't really going to happen there. See, his head's not turning back around. He wasn't highly penalized. He's not going to be too grabby, pulley, and all that stuff, but he's not going to find the ball. Again here, this was one actually that was a good one. Sorry, I meant to put this with the interceptions. But again, you're seeing this isn't at LSU. This is going to be at the Southern Miss spot that he's grabbing these. That was actually a good one, but you don't see as much of that from him on tape. Play in and play out. Dart again here. Throws it up. Same kind of thing he's trying to do, which is just looking for the ball to get to the hands of the receiver. I think that's probably why they're attacking him, is they know that worst case scenario, it's going to be incomplete. He's not going to look around for it, but he is good at finding the ball in the hands. That's a skill in itself, right? Timing it right and bringing your hands in there to rip the ball out just as the ball's arriving. Right there. Press coverage, bottom of your screen. Just kind of rides him out of bounds here, being physical. He's got a little bit of size 6'2" to be able to do this. Is he being overly physical here? Is this right on the line? You better believe it is. But what's good about him is he's a zone corner that can give you some press looks too. So I wouldn't want to leave him in that very much. I don't want to put him in man coverage a lot. It's not something that he's most comfortable in doing. But he can do it a little bit. You can mix it up with him a little bit. Again here, coming back. Just notice he's not going for the ball in the comeback route here. He's attacking the man and he's attacking the hands of the man. Rips it out. Good job. If you like that, all very good there. Just he's not finding the ball necessarily. As I said, press coverage gives you a little bit there. It's not a place that he's always super fluid in, I would say. So he's going to be top of your screen here on this play. Oh, shoot. No, look out. Hard to see him, I know, but he's going up against the guy the Eagles drafted, that big 6'7" wide receiver from Florida State last year. Kind of tight end now, I think. See him impressed. There's nothing fancy on this one. Just show he can do that press. A lot of what he's done is off coverage, zone coverage, kind of where he's sort of lived a little bit. Sort of where he lived. So you can do a little bit of the press stuff here and there. Run defender really excels in some of this and what he does with this. He's not going to be vicious with getting to the ball carrier, but when he does when he does engage it, when he is getting downhill on it, doesn't get blocked here, he can cut running backs down. He's a willing tackler. Stands out with him in his game. He'll even work to get off blocks at times. Same thing here, though. Comes up, makes the tackle in space, top of your screen. Read and react. If you leave him unblocked, he'll come up and be a force defender there for you. There's a real opening with Zy Alexander to be able to make this team and overtake a guy like Nehemiah Pritchett. Good run game instincts here. So he's bottom of your screen. You'll sometimes see him as a 14. You'll sometimes see him as 24, depending on the year and tape I'm showing you guys. But here he's got a first read to the quarterback. He is going to be the edge defender here to the quarterback on the if he keeps it. So he's got to be able to come back to the quarterback if he keeps it. Reads it right, reads it true here, gets to the running back, makes the tackle. So he doesn't just get a run like hell here. He's got to be first paying attention to that quarterback and make sure he doesn't have the ball. Good instincts in the run game. He'll stay after it here. He's going to be top of the screen this time. So he's up here. Kind of gets lost. Actually, I think he's right there, if I'm not mistaken. Kind of almost playing like safety here. Comes up and makes the play, though. Leave him unblocked. He'll come make the tackle. He don't mind. He'll get in there and stick his nose in there. Bottom of your screen here. Easy. Easy work right there. Bottom of your screen, left is the, again, unblocked defender. He's got to keep the outside leverage. Can't give up your outside shoulder here. Does not. Still makes the tackle. Nice job right in the backfield there. So he's not a business decision guy. He'll get in there. I'm sure that they liked this on the tape with him quite a bit and saw it a bunch. Bottom of your screen here again. Jalen Milroe. Just does a good job here on the bottom of your screen of fighting on the block, not losing ground on the block, giving Milroe nowhere to go on the keeper here. Running back blocks him. Just kind of just holds it up there enough for the cavalry to arrive. So play there. Good zone instincts on this kid. This is especially where I think he is going to be at his best, and especially when it comes to just staying on top. These are more just want you guys to feel the route with him. This isn't him just locking guys up necessarily. He's bottom of your screen here. These are going to be just routes that are just showing, good feel into coverage, good feel of when to go off of one receiver to the next. Stays on top. You're not going to typically beat him over the top, though. I'm going to show you a snap or two where he does get maybe a little beat in a little few spots here. Again, bottom of your screen, press coverage. But I do believe that he's rocking zone on this. That big ass receiver that got taken last year's draft. I can't remember. Wilson, is that his name? But you can see that this is zone. So first, press coverage. Hanging in press. He's got his safety there as his over-the-top help. So he's here to be sitting in shorter zones as 24 in this play. So first, stays the man, but then comes back to break off coverage, right? Teams want to run flood zone concepts. They want to run you off out of your zone. Don't get run off your zone. Come back into it. He does there. Makes the tackle. A lot going on in this play for Zy Alexander. But good job. Smart guy in zone. Again, here he's going to be bottom of your screen. Just on the edge of the screen and being able to see him here. And he just stays on top. Quarterback's looking his way the whole way here. So look at the quarterback here. Look at the quarterback's eyes. Looking right at Zy the whole way. And he stays right on top. Quarterback's got to look elsewhere. He's got help underneath here. sliding over the top, but he stays on top the whole way here. He's ready. There's really no separation there. Bottom of your screen again. Running back in zone. Here this one got cut short for some reason. Just kind of feels the guy going in zone here. Takes it away. Not his man initially, just gets onto the tight end. Takes it away. Sorry, that one got cut off for some reason. Alabama, Milrow. Bottom of your screen. Two receivers out there. Back in zone, back in zone. Come back up and make the play in front of you. So it does a good job of covering his zone. Milrow takes the check down. That's not his responsibility in coverage. Comes up and makes the tackle. He's not just going to get locked in on his receiver in zone and get lost and not still come back and be an active guy to getting back to the ball, rallying to the ball. Bottom of your screen again here. Just wanted to show these off because you can kind of see that he's got a little bit of that. I could take the initial guy here, bottom of my screen. Then I got to recognize this guy to the front and get on him. Could have been maybe a little quicker to get to this, but he does get to this and see what's happening. He does recognize it. It's not completely caught off guard with it. A lot of starting experience, a lot of ability to read route combinations and feel the route combinations in front of him, which is, I think, sometimes you don't get a lot of that unless you've just really played a lot of football to make it happen. It's not perfect with him at all times. There's sometimes that lacks effort or not always just kind of locked in at every time. Like you get here where he's the bottom formation. This is like a cornerback rep you're going to get a lot of times with guys where it's just sort of both the receiver and the quarterback agree they're not going to go super hard. Just kind of lollygagging around back there a little bit, not really trying to get in on the play. It's not all the time with him. Not all the time, but it is there a little bit. Bottom of your screen here, he's going to get Milrow taking the top off his defense here. And this is one where he should have stayed on top. He just kind of gets lulled to sleep here a little bit, it feels like. Gets spun around by the receiver. It's not a crazy route by the receiver here. Just one little jab step and gets him turned. And this is one where you do feel a little bit of the lack of the speed, right? It's where a 4-4 guy maybe can kind of catch up, but he just runs right past him. Completely burns him. Reps like this are where NFL evaluators are going to get worried. You go, man, do I have to keep him in off coverage 24/7 or he's going to get taken apart? The turnaround thing can show up a little bit too often for my money at times, where he just gets turned around for no reason. That big tight end Wilson again, he's lined in the slot here. The receiver doesn't really even do anything, just kind of spins him around. That's not what you want from your corner. You don't want that. That right there, that's not good. I don't want you turned around off the first two steps of the route. You're going to lose the guy. You'll lose track of where he's at. And indeed, he gives up the completion here. So a little bit of can get turned around. Slant routes, over routes can give him a little bit of an issue too here. These are just the reasons why he kind of went undrafted as much as anything here. So got him bottom of your screen right here. Just gets badly beat on the slant route to the inside. There's a little bit of a rub route with his guy coming through late there. And they get kind of rubbed up, but boy, this is not a quick receiver he's dealing with here. Right? There's a big, long-legged, kind of slow guy off the line of scrimmage and completely kind of dusted you up there a little bit. All right. So again, last little rep here I want to show you. Oh, I did that one. My bad. Doubled it up. Over route here. So he's an off coverage at the top of your screen. giving up a good amount of space there and just sort of gives up the inside over route without much. Just kind of a little lax there on his drop, and then he loses his man for a touchdown. So this costs him not only the reception here, but just doesn't pick up the over route quick enough. Quicker reactions needed at times from him. Some of it just you don't have that short area, 10-yard split explosiveness, and you don't have the speed. He is missing a little bit of both there. But this is why he went undrafted. And maybe it's something that he can get over here at the next level. You are playing in more of a zone-based defense. He's going to the right kind of scheme to allow him to flourish if he can flourish. But those are the reasons why he didn't go drafted. He is a good run defender, a good tackler, a guy that's very smart in zone coverage about where he needs to be and to keep himself clean over the top where he's not going to tend to get beat over the top. But there's a lot of other little kind of other stuff in there that may be inherently deficiencies that he just can't get over. He's not going to get faster. He's not going to get quicker. But he is a guy with a full skill set, and there is a big opening on this team right now at the cornerback position. There's a reason the team is kicking the tires on Shaquille Griffin and Rasul Douglas out there trying to figure out if that's the additions they need to make. And he's only really got to overcome not even anybody really on this roster right now, because you have Woolen, Job, Nehemiah Pritchett, and then you have Zy Alexander as kind of your fourth guy, and then we have a couple other cornerbacks in there that are in the mix. But he's got a real open door here to be able to make this roster. And so a player that could be interesting here going along, another guy playing against really top-end competition out there at LSU with the SEC, like with Ivy, not a small school guy aside from those first couple of years. And so maybe a real opportunity there at that point to be able to get a guy that's played a lot of years, played against the toughest of competition, and maybe you can clean up a couple of the things in his game to get over some of the limitations with the short area quickness and speed that do hold him back just a little bit. But a fun player, and another player like Ivy that you like, that you're not getting this sort of a one-trick pony kind of guy, a guy that has some maybe holes in his game, but also offers the full kind of complete stack in his game too to the other side of that. And that's why these two guys, as much of any of the undrafted rookie free agents in this class, get me as excited as they do, because they're giving you kind of the potential of a full skill set. There are holes in the game, but a full skill set's coming, which hard enough getting from undrafted rookie free agents any kind of impact. To have the potential impact that is a full meal deal kind of situation is nice. It's quite nice at that. Randall McDaniel, thank you for the $5 donation. It's good to see you in the house tonight, brother, or today. Hopefully you're having a great Memorial Day weekend. And he says, hey, buddy, do you think most successful pros who went undrafted slipped from poor measurables and testing, or they came in as a project? Why do they slip? It's a great question. I think that, Randall, there's probably going to be a difference on that, where and it's somewhat, I think, evenly spliced down the middle a little bit, where the measurable stuff definitely is going to be a thing that can allow a guy to go undrafted just on that alone. And that certainly is going to be the case with a couple of guys. Doug Baldwin didn't have great, measurables necessarily. Poona didn't have great measurables necessarily. That's probably more of the main reason, I would say, that, it's like 75-25. But I think that there's definitely then the 25 that come in as being just big time projects that you have to clean up so many different things in their game to get to the place of where their potential is at. And I do think, though, that the measurable ones are the ones that just where, a team looks at the guy and goes, man, he just doesn't have the prerequisite explosiveness. He's going to have to lean on strength, power, like Ivy, for instance, Randall. He's got to lean on strength, power, and hand usage to get by at the next level. And that's going to be really hard without having more in his bag. And he's not going to be able to develop more in his bag because he's already developed it. He's developed his hand usage. He's developed his pass rush moves. He's got his counters. He's got everything already that he's kind of topped out there as a player then. And that's where, okay, well, we've got nothing extra to really tap into, even though he's got such great scores off PFF, such great productivity, good productivity at the SEC. Yeah, but we can't raise this portion of his game. I think the projects are probably, as I talk this through, Randall, the more I think about this, I think projects are more probably drafted. You'll get a Deion Walker type who will be drafted, even though the tape is like not great. And he's got a horrible body as far as the cottage cheese belly and everything else, but he is so freakishness that they just can't pass on that project or not. We're going to take it. So the more I think about this, it is more to me measurables as much as anything, measurables and testing, that end up dinging down that player to allow them to slip out of a draft. I think that's probably, there's still those guys that do fall. They're just such projects, but that would be the main thing, I think, as I think about it, that is probably at the heart of most of the reasons why you see these guys fall. I mean, Zy Alexander, we're just talking about here, Randall, he runs a 4.55 and a 1.6 10-yard split. You've got wide receivers running 1.52, 1.53 10-yard splits, running 4.4. How does that guy stay, with anybody? I don't know. 1 second here. Cat's losing her mind seeing a bird out there. Goodness gracious. All right. Thank you for that, Randall. Great question, man. Definitely, I think I'm leaning on measurables. It's got to be the main thing. It's good to see you in the house, though, bro. All right, let's move to the third guy that I wanted to talk about on this list, and that's going to be a guy that I'm not as necessarily hyped up on this guy as the first two, but I think that this guy has as much of an opportunity to make the squad as anybody else because of the fact that there's such an opening here on this team for this position. And I'm talking about J.R. Singleton out of Iowa State. He is a pure nose tackle out of Iowa State. He's got the benefit of what I'd call the George Holani benefit from last year. And what I mean by that is that George Holani came to this roster last year with you not drafting any running backs, with you having 3 running backs on the roster, but you having definitely a hole and an opening to add that 4th running back on the roster. And he was a good back coming out of Boise State. Very dynamic, very fun to watch, able to create space on his own, break tackles on his own, be a very elusive back. But likewise here with Singleton, you walk into here this season right now, and we've got Hankins and we've got Byron Murphy as our 2 nose tackles on the roster, and there's definitely an opening here to be able to add potentially another nose tackle, especially because then that could push Byron Murphy out of the nose tackle role as much. I'm preparing a show right now for, I think we're doing it on Wednesday or Thursday here, looking at Byron Murphy, and I'm looking at some of the cut-ups with him out there at nose tackle, and I just keep watching more and more tape going, man, if we could just get him off these nose tackle snaps, if we can just get him away from the double teams. With J.R. Singleton, he is a guy that is not flashy, physically speaking, on that side of it. He's got good enough weight, but at 300 pounds, obviously, he is a little bit of an undersized nose tackle, but this is what he played at Iowa State. This was his role out there. You can see from his raw score, even at being not a guy at 340 or 335 that you might typically see a nose tackle at 300 pounds, he still didn't test particularly great. So another guy of these 3 that we're seeing, not a great Raws athlete. More back to Randall, your question on why these guys don't get drafted. I think you're seeing them here at such a low athletic score that the NFL is just telling you we don't trust that these guys are going to be able to have enough athletic juice here to go get the job done. But Singleton is, as I said, a pure nose tackle at that. He was your 399th ranked defensive tackle in football last year, in college football. You can see that he is mainly run defender, but gives you a little bit of pass rush, I would say. He's got some side-to-side lateral mobility. He can do some of the stunt and the twist stuff there a little bit, but he's not giving you much as a pass rusher. He's giving you a little bit as a run defender too as well, but it's again back to just as much as anything, he's got the opening here to be able to make this roster because of the fact that you have nobody here really solidified. Even in Hankins' case, you're not exactly sure what you're going to get from him. The guy's started for 2 straight years, played a heavy amount of football for 3 years overall. You can see that he got 3 sacks and 4 sacks in the last 2 years at Iowa State there. So he gives you a little bit of some pass rush ability. Only 4 hurries to go with the 4 sacks, though. So that does show that, kind of got the sacks. The sacks don't really speak to him being a pressure machine or a guy that's going to be able to really, get after you in that way. AGP, those are going to be your nose tackle type snaps in the alignment on the far right-hand column. You got AGP, BGP, OVP. So AGP is basically 1 nose tack, 1 tech, BGP is 3 tech kind of stuff a little bit there. He's got a little bit of outside snaps he's given as well. So not a tremendously graded player. Okay, solid for the last 2 years as a starter out there at Iowa State. Not the worst of competition on that side of it, but also not the SEC type of competition. So you take it for what it is on that one a little bit. The tape is okay with him. There is some stuff in there that's nice. Some stuff where it leaves you a little bit to be desired, I guess we should say. First and foremost, let's look at some of his run defense here and what he brings on that. So hard to sometimes see him, but he is going to be 58 as your right here is a zero tech right over the top of the center here on this play. Gets cut, gets up from the cut, goes, makes the tackle. So good feet on him. Big man, get back up, go make the play. Go get cut initially, get right up off that. There's some good hustle and effort in this kid. He's going to be, again, nose tackle role. Played a lot of this, so a lot of familiarity with playing that nose right over the top of the center. No issues with really, he can handle double teams. Gets himself sideways here, keeps himself off the center contact. Center wants to get a hand on him, keeps that hand off. Deals with the reach block of the left guard really well. Kind of a turn sideways oddly there. I don't know why he turned, just to keep himself off the hand of the center, I guess. But gets him back into the play. Good run game instincts as far as reading where the play's going, feeling for where it's going. He's all over this play right from the jump. Again here, dead center of your screen. Hard to see in this 22 angle all the way, but you can see him right there over the top of the center. A pure nose tackle. There, just holds up the line, holds up the blocker, gets his hand back in there. Stands his man up, tackles the man with one arm. Look at that big paw, just get in there and grab him. There we go. That'll work. So he can handle single blocks, control those pretty good. You kind of are forced to have to double team him pretty purely to make it work. Otherwise, he will get back in the play. Again, nose tackle right over the top of the center. 58 is the guy that you're going to be looking for here. Most of these snaps, this is where he's at. Again, just pushes his man backwards. You're not getting, you single block him, you're not getting any push, you're going to lose ground. Which is just what happens here. Just throws the center right back into the running back. Stops the play up. Okay, again here, right over the nose. You love this. He's been doing this. He's not a three tech that plays some nose. He's a nose tackle. That's what he does. They try to pull here. Gets a little bit twisted out of the play here by the block. Kind of gets angled out of the play a little bit here. That's a tough one to anticipate, though. He doesn't the center pulling off the snap throws him off there a little bit. Center of 58 again, center of your screen. Be right there. Similar play to the last. Kind of gets isolated out, trying to work his way in, using kind of a rip move to try to free himself there. Doesn't really free himself. Once guys get their hands on him, he's going to basically stay blocked. He's got some build-up speed coming around as a loop or a stunter. He can kind of mitigate some of that, but for the most part, he's just going to try to kind of overpower if he can. So here again, he's not a pure power guy. He's not going to overwhelm guys necessarily. He's got enough to get the job done, but it is a 300-pound guy at the end of the day here doing this too. Good stand-up, but just gets kind of edged out of the play a little bit here. Move just a little bit. He walks him back away. It's not a horrible snap. Not a great snap either, though. You're going to get the good with the bad on UDFAs at times. You just have to kind of take that and hope you can grow upon the good. Here again, double teamed. kind of gets pushed out, gets back into the play to go make the tackle. So like the hustle, at least. It's not his hole that he's getting pushed out, but just a little bit of a push from out of the hole there on him. Just a tiny bit. Got him here against Iowa. Caleb Johnson, really good running back there. Here again, nose tackle, heads up. Really does a good job here of just absorbing two different guys hitting him and just standing tall, get back on the play. You get some snaps here where that initial power, a lot of guys get the two guys hitting him here and they're going backwards. So this part right here, those guys will tend to go backwards a couple steps off that initial contact. Look at him able to hold up. Wins the leverage war against 78, loses against the center, but kind of toss the center to the side and then go find the play. Nice rep. Iowa blocks really well in the run game. They don't have much of a passing attack, but they know how to run block. This is both good from a hustle standpoint, but bad from an instinct standpoint. He gets kind of ran to the out of the way here where he decides he's going to go chase the play to his left, but the play's going right downhill over the top of him. Gets himself pushed out, does get back into it and goes and makes the tackle though. You like the recovery. You don't like getting pushed 6 yards down the field and turned around backwards, but you do like the recovery to go make the play. One more run defense here. A couple more at least here I want to show you. Much like the last one here, same situation. Sometimes we'll run himself out of the plays. Now, it's hard to tell if this is the play call and he's supposed to go do this. So it could be the coaches telling him to go do this. But you can see here he just kind of runs that 2 steps away from the play, leaves him out of the play. And you're not exactly sure what he's reading there on that one. So he could be instructed here to do this. Hard to say on that. But it could be instincts as well. Nice job here. Just attack, get up the field. Try to cause some mayhem. Doesn't make the play, but ball carrier's got to take a little bit of a rerouting here. It's a good job by the defense as a whole in this play. But I like how he gets up the field there. Really forces that block. Scramble to try to get back to him. Double teams are, of course, going to be very important when it comes to nose tackles and how you hold up against those double teams. So here you got goal line against Iowa. You're going to get double teamed right there on the ball. They're 2 yards away from the end zone. This is a team that runs the ball really well. Can you hang in there? And he gets pushed a little bit out of the way here. So you can see here, kind of cleared out of the hole. Ends up off his feet. I know it's hard to see exactly because there's just a pile of bodies, but he doesn't end up off. Yeah, he ends up off his feet. He's on his knees. So doesn't do good on this rep. Not ideal here. Right over the center. Kind of gets slid out of the hole there a little bit. Rest of the Iowa defense cleans it up, but there are some good, there's some bad reps there with the double teams. And by the way, I'm not expecting on double teams a guy to be immobile. I think sometimes people think, well, anybody getting double teamed is going to get moved a bit. And that's right. You know, you're going to get a little bit of movement, but are you able to keep it down to a minimum, or do you just get pushed right up out of the hole? And I'll let you guys decide on this one, whether it's on some of these reps double team wise, you're just getting pushed completely out of the hole. But could do a little bit better job hunkering down. Some of this is just he's 300 pounds. You're going to lose some of those fights in there a little bit. A little bit better job here. Run play is going kind of over his shoulder, but doesn't get moved here. You like him being a little more solid here against the double teams. Notice there's not any real movement. Takes him on, holds it down there. Somebody else has got to go make the play if he gets doubled here. That ain't on him. In fact, number 95 runs himself out of the hole. And this is where, in watching this defense, some of these could be calls. Like watching 95 attack that shoulder like that and leave that hole. Could be that he's being called to do that. But he leaves the hole open there pretty wide at that point by doing so. But a good double team rep there from our guy Singleton. Again, great job here. Middle of your defense, just a pile of bodies in there. When you're taking on these double teams, you don't have to go make the play. Just be as immovable as possible. Be a wall up on that line of scrimmage. And that's what he does. You get two blockers come in. Technically, he's dealing with 72, but 69's pushing his guy right into him as well. Just holds the line there. Running back's got nowhere to go because there's no backside hole there. Front side, all these defenders are right there, but the backside's not open either because he's got the wall held up. So it's a mixed bag at times on the double teams, but the mixed bag also has the good side too, where there are times he's handling the double teams and he's able to do okay against them. Sometimes they get the best of him though too. This isn't an awful rep. I don't know if I'd go as far as to call it a good rep. Again, the double team, 72-52 on him. Kind of just gets cleared down the line a little bit on that one. So I guess we best call it a little imperfect when it comes to Singleton when he gets double teamed. Call it imperfect. Here, back again, center your screen. Nose tackles position here. Zero tech. Double team does okay. They get a little movement. Plays going away from him. But they get a little bit of a push on him. So I would say that even right now at the moment with the double teams, Hankins, Byron Murphy are going to be better in the double team area of things than he is. But there are some good snaps in there as well with him where, he can give you something there with that as well. As a pass rusher, you do get a little bit more from him than you would typically, I think, get from nose tackles. He's got some, he's got some motor. He's got some moves he can bring in. He's got a little spin move here, for instance, that he'll kind of bring out on this play that you can kind of see. Spins off his guy. Goes and makes the sack. I think, 7 sacks or something the last 2 years. So it gives you a little bit with this. Iowa's got an offensive line that's awful, quarterback play that's awful. So take that into account as well. But he's active. He's got he's got that IV motor. I wouldn't call him the full-on high motor, but he's got a decent motor here. Here he is going to be at the inside, kind of just looping around. I wanted to show this rep off to show some of that lateral ability I talked about a second ago with Singleton, where it's got a little more lateral explosion than you get from these guys normally. Some of this is because he only weighs 300 pounds, but you like him getting through there. Doesn't have a lot of time to go and make the move happen here, and they're only rushing 3 guys against 6 blockers there. Hard to get home in those moments. A little stymied here. When he gets stymied, he's going to get stymied full. There's not much he can do. He's got to have some kind of momentum going to create his pass rush. So here, just completely stopped at the line, boom, boom, and then just kind of do a standstill. Again, hard to get past. There's just a wall of linemen here, and they're only sending, again, 3 guys. So it does get hard in these moments to get much done as a pass rusher. You're just looking like you're going through a bunch of dudes. There's just a bunch of dudes right there. Nowhere to go. Again, inside. Again, going to get kind of lateral to go find a crack, crease, crevice. I think the Hawks are going to do a lot more looping and stunting. It's kind of why I want to show some of these reps is an ability to kind of get a little lateral and around and twist through like this. This might be something that made the Hawks gravitate towards him a little bit and thinking he's going to have a little bit of this in his bag as he develops maybe. He's not sudden. It's not quick. Definitely a little labored. You know that raw score is real in that way. Again, here just getting lateral. You can feel it. Once he's stymied, it's done. Once you've stopped him in a pass rush, it's done. There's not a lot extra then more to give after that point. It's kind of like, boom, boom. Okay, I'm stopped. Again, though, hard to tell with this Iowa State pass rush at all times because when you're running 3 guys against 6, it just, you can see they've done this a lot in a couple of these games. you're not doing your edge rushers any favors at that point. Here we get actually 4 going. Again, just gets kind of stymied. So even though he's got the sacks to the next level, I think where he's going to make any headway he's going to make is going to have to come from that inside position of things. Here he is right here, by the way. You can see him getting off trying to get, again, just kind of runs into his guy right there. Not really sure what they're trying to do. It's like they got caught halfway between their stunt. And then they've got a blitzer coming through the backside, so I don't even know why they were stunting there, because even if that other stunter comes back around the other side, he's going to run into the blitzer. Hard to see what they were doing there. Another 3-man pass rush. Hard to get much anything done. So was some of his pass rush productivity held back by the 3-man fronts that this team would run at times? Maybe so. I mean, considering he still got a couple sacks operating so often from this, that maybe there's a little bit more to be had from him as a pass rusher, considering. Because you got 3 against 6. You're just not, 3 against 5. You're really not going to get home. You're just hoping to drop so many guys into coverage at that point. And here you actually see him get a single block and he finds some success. So maybe there is a little bit of hope here with him as a pass rusher, where you can give him those single block attempts and he can actually win those situations. Here he gets the center, gets right by him here, tacks half the man to that left shoulder. Nice little swim move. Can't quite finish it up, slips as he's coming out the pocket, but does force the quarterback to have to move. Nice little play there. Little swim move there, getting through. Got a little spin, little swim move. I wouldn't call them nasty. Wouldn't call them nasty moves, but yeah, a little bit there. There's a little bit there. See another little spin move here, huh? This one's actually better than the last one. The last one was more effective, but this is actually a pretty nice little spin move from him here on the inside. Whoop. Nicely done. Almost kind of wonder if that running back wasn't there, if he would have had a better path. The running back just kind of goes to the right spot and takes that away from him. Then he does a little spin move back there. There we go. Hit you with them both. I'll spin this way. I'm going to spin that way. I'll put you in the spin cycle, sucker. Just a hustle rep here. It's not a lot he's bringing extravagant to this play. Just staying with it, staying after it, creating the late pressure there, not giving up on the play, keeping his eyes on the quarterback. Quarterback just sort of checks it down eventually. So pretty much you're going to get near nothing on the pass rush. Outside of the loop and the twist game, I think for the most part, he may have a little bit he can develop with this, because there is the spin move. There's a little swim move he's got that he can kind of bring. You see here again, the spin move comes into play on this, or the swim move comes into play on this one again. But that's pretty much all that's in his bag. You got a spin and you got the swim. Here again, you'll see the spin move or the swim. Boom, boom, attack. Swim comes over the top. This kind of brings 2 of the things into play that we've seen from him, though. First, can get lateral here a little bit, right? He's starting all the way up from the left side, ends up over on the right guard. And then there's the spin. There's the swim right over the top. Boom. Swim to clear. Attack half the man. So when they say attack half the man, what do I mean by that? He's attacking that left shoulder. See that? Right shoulder stays by the right guard. You want to, as a pass rusher, attack half the man because they're easier to defeat when you go after half a man. You center him up here and you try to hit him dead center in the chest. You're giving the lineman both of his arms to neutralize you. You hit half a man, he's only got that left arm to deal with you, really. You're taking that right arm away from him. It's a really good little rep here. And you get a feel of a couple of the things that Singleton can do as a player there. As a pass rusher, at least. Just another double team on that one. One more little quick thing I want to show that could be interesting with him is we may have a push-tush stopper in our Mr. Singleton. So you're going to have him here. Nose tackle again. Look at how low he is. You got to be low at the tush-push, man. You got to get low down on that tush push. And he just gets super low here on this play. Look at him just torpedo that thing up. So maybe we're drafting him for his tush push abilities. His tush push stopping abilities is what I should say. Got to get low, man. Low man wins in those situations. And they did get the stop here. So it did work. It did work. So it's not as clean with him. I mean, these first two guys, I have a little bit more confidence than I have with Singleton. As much as anything with Singleton, the wheels have been greased here for him to be able to make the roster by, you don't have a lot of nose tackles already on the roster. And if he can come in and kind of build upon his game and at least solidify himself down as a run stuffer, I mean, that's where, to me, he gives you some pass rush, but just be a good run stuffer first and foremost. And you're going to go out there and you're going to be able to, find some play on this field. I mean, especially if you can free up a Byron Murphy guy to go do what we know he's capable of doing as a 3-tech. But there is a bit of the mixed bag side of it. It's not perfect with him as a 1-tech. Handling double teams is not always there. There are going to be some times with him where too often on tape I saw him getting controlled by single blocks, like you'll see on this rep right here. Would have liked to have seen him be able on these kind of reps to dominate a little bit more often, where the center here is just kind of handling him, taking control. He doesn't really get much done there. It's a read option outside of his shoulder. There's not a lot he can do here as far as to get to the outside. He's an inside guy here that should be taken care of by the edges. But there are some of these blocks at times where he does get controlled too often, especially from a center as a nose tackle. And that's really going to determine his success, is whether or not he's going to be able to, be a little bit more tougher in that way in the run game as he goes forward. But he's got an opening on this roster because there's just nobody there. Hankins is really old and the team wants to move, it as much as they can, getting Byron Murphy out of that 3-tech spot or out of that 1-tech spot if they can. So we'll see if he can build upon some of these minor skills he has as both a run defender and as a pass rusher. But I would say that if I was laying down my money, I would put it more on Ivy and Zy Alexander, which would be the two guys that I think are going to more make this roster, come in and actually, bring some impact into what they have going for them here a little bit. Some of the other UDFAs, just to talk quickly about them, I don't know on some of these guys with the smaller school guys because I just don't have the tape on them. Tyron Bowden's caught like 13 passes the last 2 years. He's big, 6'7". He's incredibly fast, but he's not a guy that has much in the way of hands. And that's kind of problematic when you're a wide receiver and you've got an issue with hands. We'll see with Marshall Lang out of Northwestern if he can provide a lot. Watched a little bit of his tape. I didn't see a lot there that's going to upend the tight ends you currently have on the roster. Did take a look at the Illinois guy, Seth Coleman, as well. He's an outside kind of edge guy. He's 245. I think Ivy's got more of an inside track to making the roster than he does. So I'm a little reticent on him to think that's going to go down there with that. Isis Waxter, Villanova. Really good tackling cornerback, but I'm not as sure with him as far as coverage goes. Really good tackler, not sure on the coverage. So I was a little bit as unsure about him as well as making the roster or having a pathway to make the roster. But Ivy and Zy Alexander have a chance to be as solid UDFA guys as John's brought in recent years here. And especially in Ivy's case, a guy so well graded by PFF, a guy with multiple years of starting out at the SEC, a guy that's good as a run defender, good as a pass rusher. Just comes down to he just didn't test well. And not all football players are going to test great. That's not what they're doing, right? These aren't track athletes. These are football players. And this guy is kind of the epitome of that in Jared Ivey, that when you watch the tape with him, you can just tell he knows how to play the sport. He knows how to have a great feel as a pass rusher for what the tackle's trying to do to him and having counters in his bag to deal with that. He's missing some of the prerequisite stuff you want, first step explosion, bend, dip. That stuff's not as much in his bag, but he's got so many other little things he brings to the table on top of that that can kind of counteract some of those minor parts of his game. You guys let me know. Was there a UDFA that jumped out to you so far in this class I might have missed? One of these guys we talked about today that stands out to you that could be that guy that you go, no, this is the guy you should be locking in, or this guy, I agree with you, Brandon, is going to be the guy that go make the impact. You guys let me know in the comments section. Do a little bit of chatting with you guys today here before we'll bail it out into Memorial Day, let you guys get to your barbecue and your pools and your warm weather. Brian Myers, thank you for reminding that. Please do, if you guys can for me today, hit that like button. It does help the channel out a lot. I do appreciate it when you do it. I do. Brian Myers' hot take, McCarthy looks bad initially and Rodgers goes to Minnesota before week 1. Kind of seems like that's what Rodgers is doing, is he's kind of standing pat, hoping maybe one of these situations that one of these other teams opens up for him. Be it Minnesota, does something maybe break with a Niner situation there? I'm not saying there would, but hoping he's open like Brock has some arm issue or something in camp and he can jump in there. I feel like Rodgers just doesn't really want to go to Steelers. He'll just kind of go there begrudgingly, Brian. And I'm sure the Steelers don't love that, but that seems to be the way that this is rolling. You can see him too. I mean, Thomas, he might even just wait through training camp and just see look, every year there's a contender that loses a quarterback. I'll just wait till one of these teams that's contending loses one of their QBs and I'll jump in on one of those. I mean, it's not the worst way. Brian says, does that mean Richmond is awful? He's not awful. I just didn't see a lot in his bag. I'm going to do a little bit more of a deeper dive on him. I watched him a little bit after the draft and wasn't super impressed, but he is worth going for and maybe taking a little bit of a look with Brian. I just wasn't blown away as much by him initially. I wasn't seeing it there. Chris says, wish we have signing of Elijah Simmons over Arizona. Doesn't work out. No pick wasted. He go to AZ? He go to Arizona? I don't know that guy. Thomas says, Brando, is there any rumored players that will be cut on June 1st that can play on the line of scrimmage? No. The rule is changing a couple of years ago to post June 1st designations. This was something that used to be 10 years ago, more of something you dealt with, Thomas, because you couldn't post June 1st designate somebody in May. You had to wait until the actual June 1st to cut them. And that always meant that then you got a good influx of guys that were on the market that were actually decent players at that time of year that were just cap cuts. The only guy that I can think of that's actually a cap cut that's coming up to this place that seems to be going without saying that he's going to get cut. And this is more because of when the bonus money hits in on him than it is that it's a June 1st cap cut situation. And that's Jalen Ramsey. That's not a line of scrimmage guy. So it's a place where teams that have already done the post June 1st thing have already done the post June 1st thing. You've let the guys go that you were going to go to free up your cap situation. And that means they're not really going to be anybody that's open. Could there be somebody that comes along in training camp that becomes available because there's a contract situation or the team's just at that time looking to go a different direction? Or another thing that happens at times at that point, Thomas, is you have the youngsters come in and they might have thought when they drafted the youngsters, we got to wait a year, but we got this guy in place who's a starter already. So we can wait a year for that guy to develop. That guy comes in and he's really good initially. Go, hey, we don't have to wait a year. Let's just save the money on this vet and then put the rookie in there to start. So that's more of, I think, along the lines of how this will probably play out, unless they try to get in on the Jalen Myers, the Jalen Ramsey deal, which is a possibility considering our cornerback room is a little bit thin right now. Orchie says, put a salute to all the veterans in the house, by the way. Aloha. Thank you for service. And thank you, man. Yeah, definitely a big shout out to all of our servicemen out there today for all you do for the country. It's appreciated. Chris says, oh, dear Lord, don't say Rodgers to the Niners. He wants to play there. That's why I mentioned them, is that he's grew up on the Niners. He wanted them to draft him. The Niners passed on him with the number 1 overall pick to take Alex Smith freaking almost 20 years ago. He would love to go there, but it's one of those situations where it's like that book, he's just not that into you. It's like Rodgers when it comes to the Steelers, he just doesn't seem that into you. And Niners, when it comes to Rodgers, they just don't seem that into you. And so it's a little bit of an oddity on that one there. Just a bit. Just a bit. All right, y'all. Well, let's put a bit of a button on this one. I know everyone's busy going off and doing their Memorial Day stuff today. So we'll put a little bit of a button on this one. But if you got a question, go ahead and post it on into the chat. We've got a really great lineup this week of some shows here. I've got some really cool things that I'm really excited about talking with you guys with this week. So tomorrow we're going to be going into year 1 trends of Mike Macdonald. And the point of this is going to be able to show a little bit of the differentiation between Coach Carroll defenses and your initial defense that you got into Mike Macdonald from a really stat tracking standpoint. I mean, we're trying to go through a lot of the different metrics of stats you'd look at a defense, not just looking yards and points, but getting into a lot of different items to show you some of the inherent differences that you get in this defense. I've Going to show you some plays as well tomorrow with Mike McDonald on some of what he brings in, some of the spice and flavor that he can bring into play with the stack boxes, the simulated pressures, the confusing coverages on the back end, and how it all kind of melds together. So I'm really stoked to get into that with Mike McDonald tomorrow and really looking into what he brought in year one of his defense and really what the hopes that he can bring then on into the foreseeable future with this defense, as you would hope it can continue to grow. We're going to then be looking at on Wednesday this new kickoff rule. It's not being talked a lot about, but this new kickoff rule is going to bring kickoffs back from the dead. It already happened last year. You already saw a jumping forward from that new rule change last year with the kickoff rule. Now, when you down the ball, you're going to get the ball at the 35-yard line. And I think this is going to create more of that part of the game, the kickoff, being brought back into the game and being a real factor, not just being a dead play that doesn't mean anything, that's just a automatic play. But now it's actually going to come back, and it's actually going to be a big portion of the football game now here as we move on into the future. So we'll be talking a little bit about that on Wednesday. Is Byron Murphy going to be stuck in nose tackle hell? That's the Thursday's show. And then we're going to be looking at A.J. Barner's rookie year for your Seattle Seahawks, as he had quietly one of the better rookie years. Both him and Tyrese Knight aren't being talked a lot about for how strong a rookie year they had at a positional group that, historically speaking, you have not had a lot of strong play right out the gate. That in the case of Barner, I think you can make a very strong argument that he had the third best season for a rookie tight end in Seahawks history, depending on who you ask. So a really good year for him. Great lineup of shows here for you this week that we got going as we're going to go through this offseason. We're going to go through get all the way through June, and then right at the end of June, we're going to do probably like a week or two break here right before the start of the season, just to kind of reload and get everything prepped up and ready to go. So that's kind of the plan in place. A couple of other notes as well. In the description section of the video, I will have placed an event announcement. We're going to be doing a roundtable meetup. A roundtable meetup. You can also find this on my Twitter. I've linked the link in the Twitter section if you can't find down the description section. And that is that we're going to have the NFC West Roundtable is doing a full meetup of all of us down in LA. The LA Rams, the Niners are playing a Thursday night game this year, and we're going to be all meeting up. So we're going to be doing the tailgate. We're going to be doing a night before up at the bar. We're going to be having tickets, and you can get the tickets, and we're all going to be sitting together in the stadium. It's a $300 package, but that does get you the tickets to get in the stadium there and hang with us. So if you do want to do that, come do check that out. I'm really looking forward to that event. It'd be great if we get some Hawk fans down there, but I do understand it's a Rams-Niner game, so it's not exactly the most exciting, but it is LA and it is that new stadium. So that's at least something kind of cool to check out about that. Do check that out. Get a chance to see if you want to come on down. I'd love to see you guys down on that. We are now on the Believe Network as far as the audio podcasts go. So you can find me there for audio podcasts of these live stream shows, just to let you guys know about that. I appreciate you guys watching today. One more quick note. If you guys hit that like button for me, I would really, really, really appreciate it. Randall McDaniel, you're the man. Thank you for the donation. We will be back in less than 24 hours. And I appreciate you guys watching here. Make sure we got no more questions. Should check out Milroe podcast a couple of days ago. Saban liked him a lot, but the podcast talked about Milroe and how good he is. I'll check it out, man. Thank you for the note on that, Thomas. Always open for some good content out there we can kind of check out and listen to in the background, especially right now, kind of the dead season of the off season a little bit. All right, we'll be back here, though. Less than 24 hours here to do some more discussing about our Hawks and what's going down. Thank you guys for watching. Please, 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 don't you forget. Don't you do it. Don't you let it happen. We're about to have ourselves one hell of a season. We are on the road to some great things, and you never know when that's going to take form. So you keep it at the forefront of your mind. Your Hawks are about to go out there and be pure raw dynamite 2024. And let's enjoy this ride together. Don't forget, go Hawks.